Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing some Reddit story reading. So I found some pretty crazy stories on Reddit that I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy. But yeah, feel free to set your phone down, put your AirPods in, and go do something else because there's not going to be a whole lot going on the screen. I'm just working on a little Minecraft build, but that's about it. So yeah, I hope you guys all enjoy the stories, and let's get right into the first story about a military nurse falsifying official documents to save someone's career. I need to tell this story. I need to get it out of me. It happened when I was in the military, and I did something bad because it was the right thing to do. I was an ER nurse on the base when a flight accident happened. A multi-million-dollar aircraft was destroyed, and people were killed, but the pilot survived. He walked into my ER alive, but wrecked with survivor's guilt. As the highest-ranking nurse on duty, I was tasked with his blood draw, standard procedure. Chain of custody to test him for drugs or alcohol. His whole squadron came through, somber and broken. He wasn't hurt physically, but the weight of lives lost sat heavy on his shoulders. I drew his blood, and out of habit, I drew an extra couple of vials, something I usually did in case if a doctor wanted more labs. Normally I'd throw them away, but for some reason I kept them in my pocket that day. Later that day, his squadron took him to a bar to drown his guilt, and then the lab called. The blood samples were dropped, destroyed. They needed another draw. Here's the problem. Now he had alcohol in his system. If those new vials went up the chain, it wouldn't matter if he'd been sober during the accident. On paper, he'd look drunk. He'd be court-martialed. His career would be over, and his future as a pilot would be gone. His commander brought him back in. The room was heavy, like a man walking to the gallows. Everyone knew what this meant. Unless someone admitted the truth, that this was a redraw taken after the incident, this pilot was done. But if that happened, his record would show no clean sample at all. He'd never fly again. That's when I realized the only way out for him was me. I looked him in the eye and made him say it. Who drew your blood earlier today? He answered, you did. I still had those extra vials, clean vials, untouched, never leaving my custody, his blood from earlier that day. So I did it. I threw away the new draw, and I replaced it with the vials I had saved. The paperwork was a lie. The time. That was the only falsification, but it was still falsifying. A crime. If anybody knew, I'd be the one in trouble. But that blood was his. It was clean, and it told the truth. The commander exhaled. The pilot looked at me with something I'll never forget. Relief. Maybe even disbelief. I waved them out quickly. No thanks, no pats on the back. If anybody saw the look on their faces, they'd known something had happened. After they left, the adrenaline hit me. My hands shook. My ears rang. I knew I'd crossed a line that I could never uncross. And it still bothers me. I lied. I falsified official documents, and I broke rules that I swore to follow. But I know, with everything in me, I did the right thing. And if I had to, I'd do it again. Wow, I mean, that's a crazy story. I mean, when you look at it, this whole story is like something that I feel like I'd have as an ethical dilemma in my ethics class that I'm taking right now. I mean, it's like the pilot's innocent, but in order to document that you're technically breaking the law, is it still ethical? And I mean, like, honestly, I mean, in my opinion, like, the pilot wasn't drunk during the time of the accident. So I mean, really, it's the lab's fault for dropping the vials and them breaking. So I think that the guy is, I mean, as far as I know, it's fine for somebody to drink alcohol when, you know, as a pilot, as long as it's not within like a certain time frame of the mission. So honestly, I think what the person in this story did was, you know, I think it was justifiable, and I do think it was the right thing. I mean, the pilot's career would have been gone if she would have, you know, retested. I mean, she knew that he was drunk and that the test wouldn't come back clean. But, I mean, she had the opportunity to step in and, you know, save this guy's career. So, honestly, I think she did the right thing. Also, hey, if you're enjoying the video so far, make sure to subscribe. I'd really, really appreciate it. We're trying to grow this channel, and your support would mean the world to me. Thank you. All right, so let's get into the next story. about an individual who unsuspectingly would go on to marry their therapist, something that's like never accepted in the therapist community. So let's get right into it. I was 19 years old. I had a rough childhood and I often skipped school because of severe anxiety. And eventually, because of this, I started to see a therapist. She was young, only 20 years old at the time, and from the very first time I met her, she made me feel comfortable. She smiled, and for the first time in months, I smiled back. She never pushed any sort of medication on me. Instead, I just went to her office to talk. One day, I worked up the courage to ask for her phone number, and she gently declined, saying it would be strange to date a patient. A little while later, I had to take a break from my therapy due to a medical issue. When I returned, I found out she'd stepped away from her job for personal reasons. A few days later, I ran into her at the supermarket. We hugged, caught up, and before leaving, I slipped her a note with my phone number. Days passed with no reply. I had just started a job at the pharmacy when one night, my phone rang. It was her. She told me she'd quit her job and wanted to hang out. Of course, I said yes. After my shift, we went out for coffee and dinner at a restaurant I used to visit with my mom. We ended up talking for hours, right until the place closed. I walked her home, and we said goodnight. A few days later, while I was doing laundry, she called me again, this time sounding excited. She asked me to come over. So I rushed to her place, and I even slipped on the ice on my driveway. But I finally made it there. When I walked in, she yelled from her room to come inside. On the floor, there were 2 pillows, a bowl of popcorn, and soda set up in front of the TV. "Surprise," she said with a big smile. We stayed up watching movies and laughing. The next morning, I made her breakfast, and that's when I finally asked her to be my girlfriend. To my surprise, she said yes. That same day, a snowstorm rolled in. We went outside, built snowmen, threw snowballs at each other, and even danced together in the snow. For the first time in years, life felt light, fun, and full of hope. Now, I'm 25 and she's 26. We're married and have 2 beautiful daughters. Wow, I mean, like, what a wholesome story, honestly. I feel like immediately my first thought when I was going through Reddit and seeing this is like, oh, this is going to be some weird stuff. Because, like, typically, if you're a therapist, you're not allowed to have any sort of outside connection with your client, especially romantic. So when I was reading this, I was very confused at first and intrigued. But honestly, since she left her job as a therapist, I think it's fine. Just so long as it's not professional anymore, and like you can't do that. You can't date your therapist, at least as far as I know. But yeah, this story is really, really wholesome and kind of sweet. You know, I guess they just really felt some sort of connection in therapy, and I don't know if that's the reason why she quit her job, was to be with him, but you know, maybe it was. But either way, a super, super wholesome story, and I hope they're both doing well today. But yeah, that's going to be the end of the video for today, so make sure if you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. Also, comment down below if you like this sort of type of video, if you want me to go out and find some more Reddit stories to read. Absolutely, I will. I think this was a fun video, and I think I will be doing more in the future. So yeah, I hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. See ya.